Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Hello and welcome into ANF Sports Tonight. I am Ellie Parker here with Connor Hines.
Ellie.
Connor, it's always a pleasure when it's you and me.
It's great.
On these boards.
It's great to be back, Ellie. It's great to be back.
So, looking forward to, one would hope, a Falcons win over the Panthers on Sunday.
You would hope. Going on the road in the NFL, never an easy task. However, I think with this week in particular, especially with the way things have been trending for Carolina.
And the way things have been trending for the Falcons.
Yeah.
They've been doing pretty well these last few weeks, even though they've had to...
No doubt.
Had to pull it out late.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they've won games.
Yeah.
So, before the game, we had some coaches and media talk out in Flowery Branch. We heard from safety Justin Simmons, who talked for a few minutes about the game and the team. So, let's hear from him.
Jesse didn't get that punch out, right? And then, obviously we throw the pick, but then we back them up on the next defensive series, so they have to punt, and then we go down, we kick the field goal, we go to overtime. But all I'm getting at is, there was an exchange there where we saved 3 points. So that was a big-time play, a game-saving play. And so I just think it was important to note because, he had another one against Philly, and it's consistently been showing up against the big-time games and big-time teams.
This may be a weird question, but so many of the things you do at safety to affect the game are a little more subtle, maybe, than a sack. They're a little more nuanced. Do you think that makes it more difficult for a safety to catch the eye like that? Because you just had to explain how important that situation was, as opposed to a sack, which anybody on TV is like, oh yeah, big play.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Is that why it makes it harder for a safety, or do you think that makes it harder for a safety?
Yeah, there's a lot of I think games obviously shifted too. The way that it's played, the way that it's called, the game's just a lot different, nowadays. But I think you can make the argument for almost any position. There's a lot of plays out there where there's an unsung hero, but the guy that made the play is the one that's going to get the credit. So what I mean is you got a guy like Matthew Judon, he's gonna get chipped, right? Which means there's one less guy in coverage, and which means as a defense, you can add one extra guy into coverage because we get this, he's going to chip, I can help out here.
Right.
And once he's done with the chip and he goes to the flat or he goes, under across the field, the quarterback starts feeling the pressure, throws the ball, maybe off timing, someone else gets the pick, all because, Judon has to get chipped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the impact and so, Jesse has that type of impact on a game. You're seeing the teams, less and less teams are taking, deep shots, and it's because of his ability to go make plays on the ball in the back end. And you're not going to necessarily see that as a stat, pop up. Right. And then when it does happen, you got to be able to make the play, and he's been making them. So.
Where do you see Jesse rank in players you've played with who are able to just make those impact plays you're talking about?
Yeah. Right off the top of my head, one or two. I think Aqib Talib was one of those guys. Obviously, when I was playing with Pat's one of those guys, and we see him do it week in and week out. But teams are staying away from throwing at Pat, and then the luxury of playing with Aqib was Chris was on the other side, so they had to pick their poison with that. And Jesse's the same way, right? Anytime he's in the realm of the play, a big impact play is bound to be happen. He's going to make more than he misses, and so he's definitely up there, one of the best, if not the best.
When you talk about unsung heroes, who pops out to you as you're watching film as the guy that you don't think gets enough credit in some of those plays that you were describing to Josh a little bit earlier?
In our defense? Yeah, that's a really good question. The first person I thought of was Caden. I think Cade does so much communication-wise, execution-wise, and there's a lot of moving parts, especially in our defense at that backer position. And also, too, it's something subtle, but when guys are rotating in and out, right, Nate was in there early, then Troy, then JD, that's hard. Even though they're in the same room, it's not the same person. And even though you go over the film, there's so much that needs to be said about like playing with the same guy, and it just goes unnoticed. And so I think Caden would be that guy.
What do you make of this Panthers offense with changing quarterbacks? They have some injuries on the O-line, but Chuba's kind of had a season where he's popping off this year.
Yeah, no, I was actually, and we just got done talking about it on defense, man. Like, this is going to be the most important game. Obviously, everyone says it like next week's the most important, but like this one is the most important game because I think a lot of people are just trying to write off, different players, organization, like whatever the case may be, and it's like, oh, they're not playing well, they're not doing this, but those guys are getting paid to play, and they're feeling the pressure of winning, right? And so backs against the wall, man, they're going to come out swinging. And I think a lot of times you can fall into this mindset of a trap game and going down and you're like, oh, everyone's expecting you to win and do X, Y, and Z. And we need to play our best ball, and the urgency needs to be at an all-time high because it is a good football team, and injuries are there, but all that means is the guys that are backing them up, they're in their minds, they're like, this is my starting job now, and I'm going to go earn it, right? And no better way to earn it than to come beat a team that thinks they're rolling high and they're off 2-game win streak in the division, all those things. And so this is going to be the most important game for us, man. And it's going to be the toughest game. We need to go out there and think like this is a big time for us, big time win for us.
Grady just said that it feels good, obviously, to be undefeated in the division, but he said this room is hungry and that that's not going to kind of get in the back of your head, but at the same time, it kind of gives you the confidence. How important is that to have that at this point in the season?
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. I think that's a good mindset to have. Like, you should go in there confident and knowing that, like, yeah, some things have rolled our way. We've won the close games. We've found ways to win games. Like, you should go into it confident, but then also, at the same time, noticing that, like, a couple plays don't go our way, we lose those games. And so, like, the margin of error for us is so small. And I think that's a really good mindset to have because, like, you come in and, like, yeah, we found ways to win, but it is this close, and it should heighten your overall senses of, okay, this is really important, and we need to find ways to go down there and go get a win, no matter what it takes, because we're playing a good football team. They're going to run the ball. When you run the ball well, you get good play action passes. Andy Dalton's a proven quarterback in our league, and so it's going to be a good challenge for us defensively.
All right, moving on from one team that keeps finding ways to win games that they maybe shouldn't, to another, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
How about them?
Heading out on the road to face the North Carolina Tar Heels, a team that's had a bit of an interesting season.
Yeah.
Beat a Minnesota team that later went on to beat USC, and then James Madison dropped 70 on them.
Ellie, I think this is a game that Georgia Tech needs to take care of. They're actually a road favorite. The big storyline that everyone's going to talk about in this one is you're going up against your former head coach, Jeff Collins, who's now on the staff there at North Carolina. Do with that what you will.
I don't think any Yellow Jackets fan misses Jeff Collins.
No, I don't think so. And I think a lot of people really like Brent Key, too. This is a program in a very exciting position right now, and we've talked about that at length over the last few weeks to kick off this college football season. So Tech improves to 4-2 with last week's win over Duke. Duke was undefeated at the time.
Duke was undefeated.
So a quality win, a win that you needed to come back in the fourth quarter to secure, but good on Tech to pull it out, and now you look forward to the Tar Heels. I believe that's a noon kick on Saturday.
Out in Chapel Hill.
In the Tar Heel State.
So let's go to several of the Georgia Tech players who talked before the game to the media.
Oh, sorry. You're good, Leland? My bad. Alex, go ahead.
I guess last week against Duke seemed like you got a bigger opportunity to have more of an impact on the game. Just what was that like to kind of have that opportunity and be ready to step up, when your number was called?
Yes, sir. It was great. It was fun to be out there with the guys, and definitely a bit of a conditioning out there. We had to work a little extra hard running last week to lose some weight, but it was a good week, good game. Really proud of the offensive line. The guys up front did a great job, and it was fun just to be out there and be a part of what they did.
Rob.
Coach Key talks about looking for the tight ends to be versatile, with all you have to do. You may be in tight on the line of scrimmage, out wide, shifting, in motion, How were you able to grasp all those things when you first got here?
That's a great question. So I've been with Coach Buster before, so kind of understanding what he wants from a tight end was a crucial part of me coming here and wanting to come here, and what Coach Key wants. And so it's something we work every day. We work all three facets of what our tight ends do every day in practice. And so we have a great staff who teaches us really well. And so being able to do those fundamentals every day, we call them everyday drills. And so doing those every day, especially against guys on our defense, creates a good, I would say, feel for it in the game.
And then big part of that tight end is blocking in the running game, just getting the running game going again this past Saturday against Duke. Just how big was that for y'all confidence-wise?
Oh, man, huge, especially when your head coach is an offensive lineman. That's something you pride yourself on. So being able to get up there and do what we did on the front line was huge. We've been challenging our O-line and our tight ends to do a really good job, and I thought we stepped up to the challenge. And it's an every week basis. So it's in the past. We're looking forward to Saturday.
Your role as a receiver, it looks like you really embrace the contact involved. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I think when you're in college football for 6 years and you're the grandpa on the team, you kind of know your role. And so that's something I've embraced. That's something I've loved doing. And especially here, this toughness is something we preach. And so being able to be one of the guys that can, back that up is really enjoyable for me.
Like you said, 6th year in college football, it'll come to an end soon. Just talk about how much you're kind of taking in this year and just kind of, being the role as a veteran guy on this team. How big is that for you?
That's a great question, man. Yeah, it's been 6 years. It's flown by, and I'm having an absolute blast this past year being here. The fans, the players, the staff has been absolutely amazing to me. I was just talking to Zach about it the other day, but guys like Zach and even Jackson who came in with me, Haynes, those guys have just been so good to me. And just trying to enjoy every day. I was talking to my wife about it the other day. I was like, man, Saturday was so cool for me because that's the most I've played in 6 years, and that's something I dreamt of. And so I was walking off the field Saturday just trying to enjoy it, man. It's the last year of it, so got to soak it all in.
You've played with some winning programs that knew how to win consistently, and that's something that Coach Key talks about a lot here. So how important is that game up in North Carolina going to be, to maybe start that consistent winning?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a big game. They got a great defense, great offense, great team, but so do we. And so I think it's going to be a good test for us. But I think every game is a challenge and it brings new challenges. And so for us, we're just kind of head down, trying to focus on what we can do and what we can control.
Alex?
I guess talking about North Carolina, it seems like they're coming in, on a bit of a bad stretch. They'll kind of be desperate for win on Saturday. How much are y'all expecting to kind of get their best effort, and kind of how are y'all expecting to counteract that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when you're at this level of college football, you expect the best from every team every week, and so I think what their past has done doesn't change from how talented they are, and so that's not changing the way that we're preparing. We're preparing to get their best because, they're on scholarship too, and their guys are dudes too, and so we're going to try and just prepare as if they could be 7, 8, and 0, and we're going to prepare the exact same way we would if they were 0 and 8. It doesn't really change how we prepare.
Rob?
You have a pretty experienced group at tight end, with the transfers, but you have a young player amongst that group in Harper. And is he a kid that comes to you and says, "Hey, what would you do in this situation?" That type of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Speaking on our room, it's a unique situation because we have 5th and 6th year guys like myself, Brett, Hawes, and you got Jackson Long. You got Josh, you got the 3 young guys in Blake, David, and Luke. And I think all 3 of those young guys have done a phenomenal job of not being afraid to ask questions. Luke will come up to me during practice and say, "Hey, what'd you see here when you did this?" And they do a great job of asking questions. And I think our older guys do a great job of being open and honest with them and giving them feedback and leading them as well.
Anything else? Rylan, thanks.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have Tay Seymour. Questions for Tay? Rob?
Tay, Coach talked about the coaches being honest with you and LaMiles about playing time, who's going to get the reps, that type of thing. How much has that helped you in understanding what you need to go do when you go out there on the field?
That really just made me more determined, really, for my job. Me and LaMiles have a good connection, good bond about who will be out there, and we take turns and we communicate. And we make sure everything's right with the whip position.
And and you seem like you're getting more reps last several weeks. Just talk about kind of growing as a player, and kind of you feel like you've kind of gotten more used to being on the college football field. Just how comfortable are you out there right now?
I can't even lie. Every game I get more and more comfortable as I feel like I'm getting into my regular shell and I'm not so tense. But, you know, my coaches and my teammates really just tell me to loosen up, be free, play free, and the more free you play, and just confident too, so that helps me a lot.
Right.
Looks like you rely on your speed a lot out there, especially, you know, coming up to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. Is that something you want to be known for as you move along here?
Yes, I'm most definitely a speedy guy, track guy in the past. That's what I do.
I guess secondary, you know, had some tougher games early in the year, giving up some yards. Just talk about how much of a point y'all want to prove to kind of how much y'all have improved over the year and stopping opponent passing games.
Us as a DB group talked about that, and we won't let that happen again. We focus more on the passing and just communicate more on the back end and just being better as a 7 together.
As a safety, do you notice the play up front now that's, you know, helping you guys back in the secondary by getting some pressure, you know, keeping the linebackers, I mean, the offensive linemen off the linebackers, that type of thing? Is that something you notice as a defensive back?
Sometimes it can free up our linebackers, keeping the offensive linemen off of them, you know, when the run game happens. But most of the time, it'd be play recognition off of film or something like that.
You talked about LaMiles a little bit earlier. Just talk about being a younger guy and having guys like that in the room for you to come and kind of learn from. How much is, you know, having veterans like that helped you to develop earlier, you know, as a younger player?
It means a lot, you know. LaMiles and Clayton Powley, they both have been tremendous help to me and to help me grow over the past year. Since I came in as a freshman, they've been on me, keeping me to go hard and everything. So it's been huge for me, helping me stay focused.
When you come in as a freshman and you know there's some experienced players ahead of you, what is your goal, knowing that they're probably going to get a lot of the reps? I guess is just learning. Is that the main emphasis for you?
No, the goal was to come in and play as a freshman. But, you know, if things don't go my way, I will still keep my head down and work and grind for whatever it is, no matter special teams or anything. So really it was just keeping my head down and to not get in my head, too, and just stay on the grind.
Helps.
And then talking about this week against North Carolina, it seems like they've got a pretty balanced offense, run, pass. What do you see from North Carolina's offense? Kind of how big of a challenge is that going to be for y'all on Saturday?
They have a good offense, good running back. He runs hard, real physical, so we got to come down and tackle. And they got a good couple receivers, too, so it's going to be a good game.
Anything else? Tay, thanks, pal.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, bud.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. You ready to roll, Leland? Yep. Okay, we can go ahead and get started.
Do it.
Get started here with Chad Alexander. I think everybody saw Chad was put on scholarship yesterday, so we'll go ahead and get started. Right?
Chad, I was wondering if you could just run us through, you know, the whole day yesterday and, you know, how they're trying to play with you.
Yeah, so we're in the middle of practice, going through 7-on-7, and police officers pull up with the lights on the car, so it just had everybody, you know, stop what they're doing, kind of just like what's going on. And then Key brought the whole team up, and then he just announced to everybody that I was on scholarship, and yeah.
Alex?
I guess going back to high school, you had some offers from other schools. I think you were committed to Army at one time. Just talk about the decision to come here and kind of take a little bit the harder route, walk on, and earn that scholarship, kind of what that means to you.
Right, so yeah, I was planning on going to Army. I ended up decommitting before the early signing day, and then I had a couple options to go to a couple different schools, mainly Tech as a PWO, and as well as the school across the street for the same opportunity. And honestly, the deciding factor for me was just, you know, taking a visit to both places and getting a feel, really feeling the connection with Coach Norv and feeling like he believed in me, feeling like this would be a right fit for me, as well as Coach Norv, Coach Faulkner, Coach Key, everybody just, you know, instilling confidence in me to make that decision. So.
you run us through how playing on special teams last year helped prepare you for what you're facing this year?
Right. Special teams, it's 1/3 of the game. It's a one play for a large chunk of land. We put extreme emphasis on all of our special teams, and I think that just having me play a smaller role and focusing on my 111, making sure that I could do my job just on special teams, showing them, proving to them that I was capable of doing my job, just elevating me to play on offense.
When we talked to Coach Key in the beginning of the year, he talking about the running back position, he said, hey, we got 5 or 6 guys, but that's a position where you have a lot of injuries, you know. I guess it's a position where you have to be ready, and it really paid off for you being ready and going out there. You know, was that something you always had in the back of your mind? You know, I have to prepare myself if my number's called.
Well, absolutely. Well, Coach McKenzie, he made sure that every running back in the room is ready to play whenever their number's called. So I have complete faith in every running back to get in the game and do their job. Of course, I practice like I'm expecting to play, so that you put your best foot forward, put yourself in the best position to execute. So I just did that week in, week out, got my opportunity and took full advantage.
I guess last Saturday against Duke, seemed like the running game kind of got going again. We kind of had a little rough stretch in September, but just what was that like to have you and Jamal and offensive line just kind of get going again on Saturday?
Honestly, it was electric. You know, just getting back to, you know, what we were used to and what we were trying to do, you know, just pound the ball and, you know, take away their will to fight, especially in the fourth quarter. And, you know, it was great to, you know, have some big explosive runs and just keep the ball moving, keep possession of the ball, and win the game.
Last year, I imagine you had a chance to watch Dante in his role, and yours is pretty similar this year. What did you learn from what you saw from him?
Right. Dante, one thing about Dante that everybody in the running back room would say is that his contact balance was just out crazy. So that's something that I took from Dante. Just, you know, he always ran his feet on contact. You know, just he didn't want to go down, and I think that's something I picked up from Dante just watching him play.
I guess coming forward this week, I know running game is probably going to be a big part of the game plan against North Carolina. Just kind of talk about how excited are you all for that opportunity, and just kind of how important is that going to be to be able to establish run against North Carolina?
Right. It's definitely a big opportunity. You know, to stay consistent. You know, win on the road. Sorry, what was the last part of your question?
Just kind of how excited are you all for that opportunity this weekend, and kind of being able to establish running game? You like last week, Jamal and you kind of tag team.
Right. Yeah, we're looking forward to just, you know, staying the course, being consistent. You know, just doing exactly what we plan to do, executing the game plan. You know, just staying positive throughout the whole thing, bringing energy to the game.
Anything else? Chad, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, Georgia Tech, North Carolina this Saturday in Chapel Hill. Connor,
Ellie,
resident San Diego Padres correspondent.
Hey, we're on the way. We're on the way. Big one tonight.
Last night's game was wild. I do have to say.
It was. I got to say, of all the recent, MLB postseasons that we've had the last handful of years,
this probably has been the most fun.
This has got to
so
be
far.
the best. This has got to be the best. It's
You've
delivering.
You have the Dodgers-Padres series.
And then you got Mets-Phillies.
You got Mets-Phillies. Game 4 going on right now. Phil's lead 1-0 because this Mets team, for whatever reason today, cannot drive runners in. Loads the bases twice in the first 2 innings. I'm totally not a frustrated fan. What are you talking about?
Mets, Phillies, Braves do not want to hear it. Braves fans do not want to hear it. These are just two of the other division rivals.
You've got the Tigers. The Tigers are doing the thing. They had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs on August 10th. We're 10 games under 500. Darnell went away from the ALCS, man.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal is as fun as they come. I mean, he is a
This entire team is so fun.
Lights out starting pitcher. I mean, the way they're winning these games too, right?
Yeah.
The late home run in game
this
2 to
never
tie up
say
the
die.
series. This is a team that look, they talk so much. It's a cliche for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Getting hot at the right time, and that's exactly what the Tigers have done here. So
literally exactly what they have done.
yeah, I mean it's been really fun to watch, and the last day of the year with more than 2 baseball games, Ellie, 2 nights. So we got 4 games, all divisional series
Sad.
in action. It is sad. Going to be a fun night of baseball, and
Fun night of
hopefully
baseball.
the Padres wrap it up.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Hopefully, for the 2 of us, it gets fun. Wrapping it up with UGA, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Mississippi State, man. I'm sorry.
Not a ton on this one, Ellie. You don't,
for me, not a ton.
You don't have a
not
ton?
a ton.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a team that is among the more irrelevant teams in the SEC.
Oh,
this
God,
year.
you've jinxed it. You've jinxed it. Mississippi State by 10 now.
That's not to say it's not going to be a good game. Every game in the SEC means something. It just
Especially
means
since
more.
last week we had 3 major upsets because you had Bama going
That's
down to
right.
Vanderbilt. You had my Missouri Tigers getting smacked around by Texas A&M. Then you had number 4 Tennessee losing to Arkansas.
Who would have thought that on a weekend where we had only one ranked matchup? I think that's what it was.
One
We had
ranked
all those
matchup.
Upsets. Crazy, right?
And, I mean, those were not the only upsets in college football. Last week was so fun. One of the most fun college football weeks in a long time. My team was in the top 10 and lost, and I can't even be mad.
I know.
Just because it was chaos. I love chaos in college football. This is what I live for.
That's a good sport for it. Yeah, look, I mean, Mississippi State has struggled, no bones about it. But Kirby Smart is doing things with that much more diligence this week. I mean, he had a message for the fans. It's a weird week to ask the fans for more when it's really easy for the fans to give less. Again, with an opponent like Mississippi State. So I'm curious to see how that all plays out this weekend as well. But any game between the hedges is big and should be treated like that too. So Saturday at 4:15,
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
Send us home. What's on your mind?
San Diego Padres, of course. But beyond that, I mean, I think just to echo what we were saying already, Ellie, I mean, this has been so unusual in so many respects for baseball, a sport that, so many people have said, baseball is dead. It's a dying
boring.
sport.
It's a dead sport. It's not.
The games take too long and so on and so forth. And I think this postseason, so far,
This has been one of the most fun postseasons.
That's Major League Baseball
Might
at its
be
best.
the most, at least for me, the most fun since like 2015.
Yeah. And I think when baseball's at its best, it's an enjoyable sport for even the casual fans in the postseason, and I think we're seeing that with the ratings coming back in through these first few, divisional series games. So, what's not to like about the playoffs?
What's not to like? For me,
what you got?
Regular season hockey, the Seattle Kraken, which my friend has roped me into being a fan of.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Made history last night with the first female assistant coach on the bench, Jessica Campbell. Hopefully, she
First
is
of
not
many.
the last.
Yeah, hopefully the first of many. That was really cool to see. Yeah, especially in a sport like hockey, right?
Where it is so much a boys' club,
Right.
and there is the circling of the wagons. It's nice to see somebody break through every once in a while.
No doubt. Yeah, hopefully many more to come.
For Connor Hines, I am Ellie Parker. This has been ANF Sports Tonight. Go watch some sports.